Rock Hudson's death was a turning point in American AIDS awareness. Hudson, a Hollywood icon and symbol of 1950s masculinity, was the quintessential American lover. Yet behind his dazzling exterior, his life was a meticulously choreographed creation. Hudson rose to fame thanks to his beauty, but he lived in constant fear, hiding the truth about his sexual orientation. At a time when even a rumor could ruin a career, Hudson was forced to hide his true self. He led a double life. One as an attractive on-screen lover, the other hidden behind the walls of his Beverly Hills mansion, struggling with deep inner conflicts. His mansion on 9402 Beverly Crest Drive became the site of secret, all-night parties filled with drugs and illegal activity. These parties took place behind closed doors, away from the public eye, and anyone who dared to pry disappeared without a trace. To silence the rumors, Hudson's agent, Henry Wilson, arranged a marriage of convenience in 1955 with his assistant, Phyllis Gates. But in 1984, the unthinkable happened. Hudson was diagnosed with AIDS, a disease then considered a death sentence for gay men. In July 1985, as his body grew weaker and weaker, the truth could no longer be hidden. On July 25, 1985, Hudson's publicist announced the heartbreaking news that he had been diagnosed with AIDS. His death at the age of 59 was not only a tragic end to an extraordinary life, but also a shock to the entire world. Hudson's death forced Hollywood to confront its own profound hypocrisy and marked a turning point in the perception of AIDS. His death highlighted the stigma associated with the disease and changed the conversation about AIDS, especially in the entertainment industry. Hudson was not alone in his struggle. However, another iconic actor, despite his best efforts to heal his homosexuality, could not escape the inevitable fate that awaited him. Anthony Perkins, best known for his iconic role as the psychotic Norman Bates in Psycho, has become a legend in the horror genre. But few know that the role that defined his career also haunted him, reflecting his own inner struggles. To the public, he is the epitome of Hollywood stardom. But beneath the glitz and glamour lies a man who lives behind a carefully constructed facade, concealing his true identity. Born into a family of artists, Anthony was always destined for fame. His exceptional talent earned him an Oscar nomination for his role in Heartthrob's Roles, a performance that captivated women and even topped the Billboard charts, cementing his position as one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Yet in the spotlight, he grappled with a hidden reality. Anthony Perkins was gay, a fact he could never openly accept. In the 1950s, he and his lover, actor Tab Hunter, lived in constant fear, constrained by the need to hide their relationship. Their secrecy wasn't uncommon at the time. Many in Hollywood hid their true selves to protect their careers. Photos from the period show staged dates in which the two men sit side by side in movie theaters, holding hands with temporary girlfriends, all as part of a public appearance intended to conceal their sincere love. But behind these carefully constructed facades, Perkins lived a life of pain, desperately trying to hide his true nature in a world that demanded silence and deception. In a desperate attempt to cure his attraction to men, Anthony Perkins underwent harsh and invasive gender reassignment therapy. He even married photographer Barry Berenson, but the obsession with hiding his true self never truly left him. Perkins lived in hiding, trapped in a constant struggle to become the man society expected of him. In the late 1980s, death struck again when Anthony was diagnosed as HIV positive. Unfortunately, he heard the news not from a doctor, but from a tabloid. Despite his terminal illness, he chose to hide the truth from his family, acting as if nothing had changed. As his health deteriorated, Perkins kept up appearances, trying to smile even as his body weakened. On September 12, 1992, Anthony Perkins died at the age of 60 from AIDS-related pneumonia. His death was not only a tremendous loss to the film industry, but also a tragic end to a life spent in hiding. However, the Perkins family's grief did not end there. Exactly 9 years later, his wife, Barry Berenson, was on American Airlines Flight 11, the first plane to crash into the North Tower of the World Trade Center during the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. The sudden and tragic end of one life and the continuation of another heartbreaking journey. Just one day after Perkins' death, another famous music icon also passed away, publicly revealing his battle with the disease. Freddie Mercury, a global musical phenomenon, left behind an unforgettable legacy. But behind his iconic mustache and charismatic stage presence, Freddie was quietly battling the AIDS virus. Born Farrokh Bulsara, his path wasn't easy. He longed to be himself, but the weight of societal expectations forced him to hide his true identity. While he openly dated Mary Austin, whom he described as the love of his life, Mary became more than just a partner, his soulmate. At the same time, Freddie engaged in same-sex relationships and all-night parties, using his experiences and emotional pain as material for his powerful music. The pain Freddie Mercury experienced became the material for his timeless songs. In 1987, he received the devastating news that he was HPV positive. Although the disease slowly ravaged his body, he refused to let it define him. He continued to work tirelessly, pouring his heart into every note. The songs he wrote during this period were more than just music. They were powerful declarations of a man who refused to surrender to his fate. In each lyric, Freddie expressed the strength, resilience, and pain of a fight he knew he could not win. On November 23, 1991, after years of hiding his diagnosis, Freddie made the painful decision to publicly reveal that he had AIDS. Just 24 hours after revealing the truth about his battle with AIDS, Freddie Mercury died, leaving a deep void in the hearts of his fans. After his death, Mary Austin inherited most of his estate, including the iconic Garden Lodge. But Freddie's death didn't mark the end. It marked his final performance, a poignant reminder of how many lives the AIDS epidemic has claimed. Freddie used his death to transform loss and grief into a call to action. Shortly after his death, the Mercury Phoenix Foundation was founded to continue the fight against AIDS. This made Freddie's legacy a powerful force in raising awareness and making a lasting impact in the fight against this disease. Freddie Mercury was not only a music legend, but a man whose legacy far exceeded his fame. His death is not the end, but merely another chapter in the story of a man who spent his life caring about the perfect image, and the painful truths behind it were revealed not by him but by those closest to him. Through his timeless songs, bold performances, and daring actions, Freddie left behind a legacy that the world will remember forever. His courage, both on and off stage, continues to inspire and remind us of the power of honesty and the strength to face life's toughest battles. Ed Koch, known for his catchphrase, "How am I?" He has been a New York icon for over a decade. As mayor, his leadership saved the city from bankruptcy and earned him the status of a public hero. But behind the friendly smile on the campaign posters lay a secret that was only revealed after his death. Born in 1924, Ed Koch was a soldier before becoming mayor of New York City in 1977. At that time, the city was struggling with bankruptcy and rising crime. Koch quickly became the city's savior, steering New York through the crisis and cementing his position as the person who helped restore stability to the city. However, a new enemy emerged: AIDS. The disease spread rapidly, claiming thousands of lives, especially in the LGBTQ+ community. At this crucial moment, Koch's carefully crafted public image began to crumble. Activists, especially Larry Kramer, sharply criticized him for his slow response to the crisis, accusing him of passively standing by as gay people died. This criticism intensified as rumors about Koch's sexual orientation surfaced. Throughout this uproar, Koch remained silent, responding only, "My private life is my own business." Many believe his silence stemmed from fear of revealing a closely guarded secret that many politicians of his time tried to hide. Only after his death in 2013 did his close friend, Charles Kaiser, confirm that Ed Koch was gay. Despite his efforts, including signing anti-discrimination bills protecting the LGBTQ+ community, many felt Koch did too little, too late in the fight against AIDS. On February 1, 2013, Ed Koch died at the age of 88, leaving behind secrets about his personal life that remained secret for the rest of his life. He is remembered as a hero who revitalized New York City, but also as a controversial figure whose silence during the AIDS epidemic marked a dark chapter in his legacy. However, the story of this complex political figure who hides the truth is not over yet. If there was one place in American history where drugs, sexual power, and fame mingled to create a chaotic storm, it was Studio 54, and the man behind it all was none other than Steve Rubel. Born into a working-class Brooklyn family and a finance student, few expected him to quickly become a symbol of luxury and decadence. After a series of steady jobs, Rubel, along with his friend Ian Schrager, transformed an old warehouse into Studio 54, a chaotic oasis filled with drugs and a noisy atmosphere. Steve Rubel ruled this world like a king, using his infamous guest list policy to control access. The doors to Studio 54 were never opened to anyone deemed sufficiently unattractive, and only those he personally selected were admitted. However, every party had to end. In December of 1978, the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, raided Studio 54 and discovered over $2 million in cash hidden in the ceiling and safes. Rubel was charged with tax evasion and money laundering. In court, his once arrogant remark, "We earn more than the mafia," was the final straw. Sentenced to 3.5 years in prison, Rubel was expelled from his empire. If you're shocked by the secrets hidden behind the glitz of Studio 54, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Has this lifestyle and scandals changed your perception of these legends of music and art? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more fascinating stories. After being released from prison, Steve Rubel tried to escape his past by opening the Morgan Hotel, thus pioneering the boutique hotel trend. In 1988, however, he received an invisible verdict. He was diagnosed with H1V. On July 25, 1989, just 4 years after his diagnosis, Rubel died in a New York hospital. The official cause of death was hepatitis and septic shock, but many considered this a euphemism intended to avoid the word AIDS, which was still heavily stigmatized at the time. Rubel's death is part of a series of AIDS-related tragedies. He is not the only person whose life has been ruined by the disease. Robert Reed, best known for his role as Mike Brady on the television series The Bradys, has become the epitome of the ideal father for millions of American viewers. However, behind this image of the perfect father lies a man harboring deep secrets and unspoken fears. Born in 1932 as John Robert Wright, Jr., Reed's life was shaped by a series of truths he was forced to hide. He began his stage career before winning American hearts with his beloved role as a TV dad. But even as he portrayed the ideal family man, Reed secretly struggled with inner conflict. After 5 years of marriage, he finally told his wife he was gay, a truth that would forever shape his life. Despite his personal struggles, Robert Reed was known for his dedication and meticulousness on set, often arguing with scriptwriters about scripts he felt lacked depth. He cared deeply for his young actors, who acted as a father figure both on and off screen, introducing them to the world of acting. However, behind the scenes, his health was slowly failing. In 1991, Reed received the devastating news that he had terminal colon cancer. Even more shocking, after his medical records were made public, it was revealed that Reed was also HIV positive. The disease had been quietly ravaging his body for years, while he continued to smile and perform, hiding his pain from the world. On May 12, 1992, Robert Reed passed away at the age of 59. Although his official death certificate listed the cause of death as cancer, his loved ones knew that the true culprit in his tragic death was HIV/AIDS. Reed took his secret to the grave, leaving behind a legacy of silent struggles and unspoken truths. His story doesn't end with death. However, as soon as one powerful man's secret is buried, another story emerges, another life is cut short, and another influential figure with dangerous secrets of his own is exposed before the eyes of millions. Roy Cohn, an infamous figure in American politics, still sends chills down people's spines almost 4 decades after his death. Born in 1927, Cohn quickly became one of the most ruthless and feared figures in American politics. At the age of 23, he became an aide to Senator Joseph McCarthy and played a key role in the executions of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. During the so-called Red Scare, Cohn also participated in the Lavender Scare, which aimed to remove LGBTQ+ people from government positions. Ironically, despite his staunch public opposition to homosexuality, Cohn's life was surrounded by persistent rumors about his own sexual orientation. His close relationship with his assistant, David Shine, became a media phenomenon. However, Cohn repeatedly publicly denied these rumors, condemning those who openly lived their true identities while simultaneously concealing them. After leaving Washington, Roy Cohn established himself as a mysterious and influential lawyer, representing celebrities like Donald Trump and notorious mob bosses. However, in 1984, his life changed dramatically when he was diagnosed with HIV. Despite the seriousness of the diagnosis, Cohn denied it until the end. He publicly announced that he had liver cancer, and even as his health deteriorated, he clung to the image of an invincible warrior, never admitting the truth. On August 2, 1988, Roy Cohn died at the age of 59, leaving behind a tragic paradox. The man who actively contributed to the oppression of the LGBTQ+ community suffered from the same disease he had long stigmatized. But Roy Cohn was not alone. Another man who built a decadent private world faced irreversible decline. Joel Crothers is a well-known American television personality, known for his attractive appearance and acting talent. He has become a role model for millions of viewers thanks to popular television shows such as Dark Shadows and Somerset. Behind the glitz and glamour, Crothers led a very different life. Although the public saw him as a symbol of masculinity, in reality he was openly homosexual. However, at the time, revealing his sexual orientation could have ruined his career, so he was forced to hide his true self. His seemingly fairy tale engagement to actress Vala Gray was actually a staged act to protect his public image. In the early 1980s, with the spread of the AIDS epidemic, Joel Crothers suddenly disappeared from public life. In 1985, the painful truth was revealed. He had died at the age of 44 from complications from AIDS. Unlike other celebrities, however, Crothers' death was not widely reported or mourned. The stigma associated with AIDS at the time meant that his career and true identity were largely erased from public memory. He died quietly. His story, a painful reminder of the prejudice faced by public figures in that era. Crothers is not alone. He is one of many whose lives have been tragically cut short by the disease, leaving their careers unfinished and their legacies tarnished. Rising reality star Pedro Zamora has become the first person to use his death as a public lesson about HIV. Diagnosed with HIV at the age of 17, Pedro faced a time when AIDS was still considered a death sentence, and the disease was associated with fear. Instead of remaining silent, however, Pedro chose to be open and active, fighting the stigma plaguing the HIV community. He became a champion for the cause, attending conferences, visiting schools, and directly confronting the fear and ignorance surrounding the virus. As the disease slowly ravaged his body, Pedro spoke with unwavering courage about the loneliness of safe sex and the inevitable death that awaited him. His advocacy and openness left an indelible mark on the fight against HIV and helped change the perception of the epidemic. In 1994, Pedro Zamora entered the real world in San Francisco, and the series became more than just entertainment. It became a living diary of a young man battling AIDS. Pedro boldly kissed his boyfriend, Shah Sasser, on television, and their engagement became a historic event, the first same-sex engagement broadcast to a wide audience. However, as the show progressed, Pedro's body was no longer able to fight the disease. The virus began attacking his brain, leaving him unable to walk, read, or even remember his friends' names. Despite his declining health, Pedro's courage and commitment continued to shine through, leaving a lasting mark on the fight against HIV and LGBTQ+ visibility. On November 11, 1994, just hours after the final episode of The Real World aired, Pedro Zamora passed away at the age of 22. His struggles and eventual death were televised to millions, making his story an important and intimate part of the public consciousness. Pedro's death is not only the loss of a reality TV star, but also a profound message that sheds light on the life of a man who bravely battled a life-threatening disease. His story, full of unspoken secrets and a strong commitment to combating the stigma surrounding HIV, has left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire and raise awareness in the fight against HIV. Wade Dominguez may not be a household name, but anyone who watched Dangerous Minds will have a hard time forgetting him. He launched his career as a promising star, but his life and career were tragically cut short. Born in 1966, with a sharp and aggressive appearance, Wade quickly rose to fame with his roles in the films City of Industry and Two Men. He was recognized as a talented actor, full of energy and potential. However, just as his career was gaining momentum, Wade faced an unimaginable shock. He was diagnosed with AIDS. In a society still rife with prejudice, Wade Dominguez chose to keep his diagnosis a secret. Behind his red carpet smiles was a body that was refusing to obey. In his final days, his close friend, actress Elizabeth Berkley, brought him to the hospital a draft of his latest film, The Taxman. After watching the film, Wade burst into tears and said, "I did a great job. I did a great job." On August 26, 1998, Wade Dominguez died at the age of 32 from complications from AIDS. A promising talent passed away too soon, leaving Hollywood and the film industry in deep mourning. While the world mourned the loss of a star who never had the chance to develop his full potential,